Hello, good morning. This is Kathi Schwan. I'm the volunteer state president for North Dakota AARP. And I want to welcome you to our once a month Friday session of AARP on Tap. We take a look at the issues that are important to our membership and to those over the age of 50 in North Dakota. And we're going to talk about the elections coming up and what you need to know about voting. In less than 2 months away, we're going to have the June primary election. And voting in June is your chance to choose your local city, park, and school leaders that will help shape the future of your communities or our communities. We expect that the local candidates will be discussing a number of issues that impact you and your family, including the dreaded property taxes, access to public spaces such as parks, walkways, and all sorts of walkability that make our to us. Stay in your home and community to make sure you information you need to cast your ballot. To be ready to make your voice heard in June, over the next 2 months, we will be providing opportunities for you to learn more about resources. And a very primary resource is the League of Women Voters. And I'm excited to welcome my guest who has joined me today, Whitney Oxendahl. She's with the North Dakota League of Women Voters. The North Dakota League of Women Voters plays an active role in elections, including hosting candidate, legislative, and issue forums and producing nonpartisan voter guides. Whitney, welcome.
Hi, Kathi. Thank you so much.
Yeah, on this snowy Good Friday. Happy to have you here.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm in Fargo, so it's not quite as snowy over here as the other parts of the states are.
I'm lucky. I'm in West Fargo, so I share your enthusiasm for the lack of snow coverage. Whitney, can you tell me a little bit about yourself, the North Dakota League of Women Voters, and your role there?
Yes, I'd be happy to. So Kathi, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited to share our resources we have here at the League of Women Voters. I grew up in Williston, and then as an adult made my way to Fargo, where I'm at now. And I hang out with my young children, my 3 kids, and also work on community projects. That's usually, I just kind of fall into things wherever things are needed. So I'm one of the co-founders of the Red River Market, the farmers market here in Fargo.
That's a nice surprise.
Yeah. So if you haven't been, check it out. It has hot food, music, vendors. It's so great. And I'm organizing around the science museum that's coming to Fargo, help put the board of directors together and wrote half the business plan. So I do just community projects wherever I see a need. That's where I go. And through my community projects, I got really interested in local government. I had to work closely with different departments. And before that, I felt kind of an outsider to local government and the process and where do I go for different things. And I became more of an insider to the process. And I was like, people need to know about this. So that's where the league came in. A board member 2 years ago, a board member for my local chapter in the Red River Valley, she approached me about being on the board. And I was like, this is going to be an amazing tool to help connect people to local government and voting and election information. So I got on the board in March 2020. I was voted in, and then that's when COVID kind of shut everything down. And my skills are on the computer, where I do computer organizing. And so it was a perfect fit for me to come in and help organize virtually for my local chapter. And then this last summer, someone on the board from the State League of Women Voters said, hey, would you come help build capacity at the state level? So I was like, sure, why not? I would love to take what I'm doing in the Red River Valley and spread it across the state. And one of the big ways we are working on voter education is through the voter guide, Vote411.org. And the league is great. I should say it's a nonpartisan political organization that works on voter education and connecting people to local government and local issues. And Vote411 is going to be an amazing tool to do that. So I'm pretty excited.
That's great. I just want to bring the attention to one of the Zoom benefits here is at the bottom of your screen, you're going to see something called chat. And you can ask your questions there. And Whitney will give us her presentation. And if you have any questions that you have during the course of that, we'll answer those questions at the end. And Whitney, you've already got my vote. Great job. AARP appreciates volunteers, and you're kind of the epitome of what the type of individual we look for.
Thanks, Kathy.
So with that, Whitney, do you want to share your screen?
Yes, I would. So I will be telling you about Vote411 today. Let me head over there. All right, here we go. So here's Vote411. So you just go to vote411.org and it will bring you to the site. So this site is the National League, the League of Women Voters of the United States, bought this platform to give to the state and local leagues to help put candidate information and voting information all on one site. So it's a really great tool to help the league use more technology and to really connect voters to that information easily. So here's the site. We are the only state that does not do voter registration. So you'll see that as a big tool on here. You can just bypass that because North Dakota is great and we don't have to register to vote. So you can go down here, scroll down a little bit and go to your address. So I'm going to show you right now what's in there. Our guide publishes on May 5th, on Thursday, to coincide with when absentee balloting starts. So you won't see that information in there yet. We are still reaching out to candidates. So I'm going to make up an address here. And in Fargo, where I'm at, North Dakota, 58102. And then I will click submit. And you can see what we have. Nothing. It says that nothing's in there. That's correct because it's not May 5th yet. We'll hit publish and it will show up, but you can see the dates for the elections. And you can scroll down and go find your polling place. Later, this will actually show your polling place. Right now, it just links to the Secretary of State's website where you can input your address. If you keep scrolling down, the forum, our candidate forms will be down here later when they're putting them up right now. And then you can also learn more over here. And that will show you your how to get your absentee ballot. So there'll be a lot more information to come as we get closer to the election day. But May 5th is a publishing date. So I'm going to go back and I'm going to show you what an actual ballot looks like on here, an actual guide. So Pennsylvania, they have theirs up already. So I'm going to use the address that the National League gave me to show you guys. 15215. Okay, so then you can see what the voter guide will look. So they have voter registration. So I'm just going to come down here and choose a party. And then you could choose which race you want to go to. I'm going to go to their governor's race. And so you'll see a description of the office up here. The ones that we write will be for North Dakota's. And then you'll see all your candidates in that race down below. And you can see the ones who have filled it out. So the ones with the photo are the ones that have actually gone through and filled it out. If you go to your ballot and you see a candidate has not filled it out, one way you can help us is you can reach out to that candidate and say, hey, will you fill out the league's online voter guide? And if they get like 3 to 5 people, especially on those local races, if people are asking them to fill it out, they will likely fill it out. So if you want to help us out, that's a way you can do so. But let's see what these candidates have to say about the questions that the league asked them. So I'm going to choose Douglas since he filled it out. And you can scroll down and you can see his bio information, where what kind of qualifications he has, his campaign website. And then you can see the questions that the league asked him there and that he answered. If you want to compare a couple candidates, we can go over here and compare, and then you'll see them side by side. You'll see Melissa and Douglas, and you can go through and read their answers, and then you can select the candidates down at the bottom, or you can check mark this little box up here. And that shows who you selected in that race. And you'll be able to see how many you choose in each race as well. So just vote for one, you can click on candidates and compare them, and they'll be down below again, and you can click. And then at the end, you can print your voter guide or who you chose for each race so that you don't have to note that. And so that's how the voter guide will look. We are covering all the races down to school board for our voter guide in North Dakota. We first used it in the 2020 general election, so we did not have that number of candidates. It was around 150, 160 for number of candidates because it was just county and state and federal. But now we're going all the way down to school board, city alderman, park district. And so you'll see a lot of candidates in there, and we're trying to get that information out to the candidates and get their email addresses. But if you see a candidate has not responded, please reach out to them and ask them. And share Vote 411 with your friends and family. That will help us out a lot because we want to get this information out to voters. So that is Vote 411. Kathi, do you have any questions about that?
This is a tremendous resource. Like I had mentioned to you earlier, I worked the polls last year, and I wish I would have had information like this to share, because there was a lot of people that would come in and say they hadn't decided and leave and come back. And this would have been wonderful to show them. So I definitely am going to be passing this around, especially because it's nationwide. You know, that's amazing that you can see all that information on any candidate. There's no excuse not to be informed this season. Wow.
Yeah, we are really excited to offer this to voters. We are working hard to pull it together. I think as the years, like this is our first time using it in the primary. And so as we continue to do it in the future, like people will know, like this is where you can come get your voting information. And hopefully candidates will know as well that this is where they can submit their information so they can get the word out about themselves as well.
So to find out what's on your ballot, is that some of the local issues that will be appearing on the ballot if there's a referendum or any type of additional information they can read up on?
Yes, we plan to have as many of those as we can find in the system. So we will be working on that as you get closer to election date. We'll have more and more information in there. So May 5th, you might see some gaps where candidates haven't yet filled it out. We're going to continue to reach out to candidates until election day and continue to add those into the system to have so when voters go in, they can have the most possible information for when they go to vote.
And I see that AARP also has something comparable, but yours is pretty tough to beat. I have to admit that. Oh. And you'll find under the chat, the link for that is located there. It's hard to populate these websites with this information. You know, the info is just so ever changing. And matter of fact, I was reading in the local paper, there was some incumbents that still hadn't submitted the information they needed to be a candidate. So it really kind of throws everything, you know, right down to the last minute. Is there any other resources you want to share with us today, Whitney?
Yes, and I have a little slideshow so people can see. I'll keep screen sharing over here. So here are our resources that people can check out to help them know more about what's on their ballot. So again, there's Vote 411. I'll move my little box guy. Our published date is Thursday, May 5th. If you want to go in there and then enter your address, it will populate on that day. Here are our candidate forums for Fargo and West Fargo. So we have ours for the Fargo School Board on April 20th. April 21st is Fargo City Commission. May 4th is the Fargo Mayor and Fargo Park Board. They're all going to be in the evening at Fargo City Hall. And it's going to be exciting. We have a record-breaking number of candidates for City Commission and for Mayor. So these are going to be fun races to watch. And then we only had one contested race for West Fargo, and that is we'll have on May 17th, and we're still setting the time frame, but usually they start 5:30, 5:45, 6, somewhere in there. And then later we'll have the Bismarck-Mandan ones come out on their Facebook page, but they have not set theirs yet because Monday was just the filing deadline. So they're working on that. One way you can find out more information is by following us on our Facebook page, LWV-ND. We will be sharing a lot about Vote 411 and about what's happening with voting and elections throughout the whole state. Our local chapters, we have 2 local chapters. We have our Red River Valley League, and that's Fargo, Moorhead, West Fargo, Dilworth. And we've been posting a ton of information about local elections and polling places. They just got those vote centers up. Or if you're in Bismarck-Mandan, we have that Facebook page as well. The league there is really amazing. We have a lot of very knowledgeable league members out in Bismarck-Mandan, and they have the candidate forums. And if you are not in either of those areas, you can also join the league as a member at large, and you'll be in one of these 2 leagues as well. And members stay on top of a lot of voting and election information. It's great. And then lastly, I just wanted to share the key election dates for people. May 5th is coming up. That will be the first day of absentee voting and also when our guide publishes to coincide. If your county offers it, they can start early voting on May 30th. Some do less and some don't offer that. So check in with your county. June 13th is the last day of potential early voting and the last day to submit your absentee ballot. And then finally, the primary election day, a very important day, June 14th. And this is when all your local races are decided. Not the county ones, the local ones don't move on to the general election. That's when you decide your city council or commission, your park board, your school district. This is the final race for them, even though it's a primary. So that's a very important date for those local races. And lastly, the league believes that an informed voter is a powerful voter. And so we have Vote411. So please check it out and share with people and contact those candidates if you don't see them, a photo in there or responses to our questions. So that's it. That's all the slides.
One of the things we've been hearing a lot about is rank voting, or rank. It's something to do with how candidates proceed after it's, they've got a dozen people running for the same post. What can you tell us about that?
So there are a number of alternative voting systems. Most offices right now are elected by something called plurality. So you have one office and you can vote for one person, even if there's a list of 10. If there's two offices, you can vote for two people. So that's plurality, and where a lot of voting falls right now. And then there are different ones called ranked choice voting. And so you can rank your first choice, second choice, third choice, fourth choice, and the top. And so if your first choice is not in everyone else's first choice, that gets knocked out, and they go to your second choice. And so it can be more representative of the people in that area, that jurisdiction, because you're getting to, if your first one is out, then your second one is also included in the vote tally. And still, whoever gets the most votes in that system wins. In Fargo, the city itself changed from plurality, one vote for one office, to approval voting. So instead of going and voting like the Fargo City Commission race, there are 15 candidates running for 2 spots. And in the old system, in plurality, people would just go and vote for 2 people. And now with approval voting, you look at your ballot and you see all the names, and then you vote for any candidate you approve of. So if you want to vote for 1, you can vote for 1, 5, vote for 5, 14 out of 15, you can do that. Say there's just one candidate you don't want in office. So still, whoever gets the most votes wins that. And so this can prevent vote splitting, where candidates are, very similar, and you have to try to decide who other people are voting for. And also spoiled ballots. So sometimes people won't see that you can only vote for 2, and they'll vote for 3 or 4, and then that doesn't count anymore. So that was a longer answer than maybe you asked for, but those are some different voting systems.
Do you think that methodology has maybe been what has generated multiple people running for the same office? Do they feel that there's more of an opportunity to win, or that they're reaching more people? Or is it just because it's a more fair way of representation?
To use approval voting?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
Yeah.
Why switch over to approval voting? So they find, if you look at election science, is like a whole field, but they find that approval voting is mathematically more representative of the people in that jurisdiction, because you're not trying to guess who other people are voting for. You're just voting for any candidate. You're like, this candidate would be okay in office. Okay, I'll give them a thumbs up. And so you get to choose more if you want to, and have people that you're okay with in office are more likely to get in office. And so, yeah, it can be more representative of the people. Yeah.
And that really underscores why it's important to know who you're voting for, and use a resource like this, or one that AARP has, to really do your homework on who you're voting for. That's a very precious commodity that we all have as Americans, and we really should do our homework. AARP has come up with a list, 3 questions that you should ask any candidate that knocks on your door. What will you do to help make neighborhoods and streets safer for those walking, biking, etc.? And what steps will you take to help older Americans or older residents stay in their home and community as they age? And how do you plan to involve citizens in local decision-making? This is where the opportunity to actually hold them accountable for the decisions they're making. And if they haven't thought about those things before, that might determine whether or not they have earned your vote. So this has been very helpful, Whitney. There's just a plethora of information that is being populated in all these sites. And between AARP and League of Women Voters, wow, we're really excited to be able to be a lot more informed when we go to cast our ballot this spring. Any parting comments, Whitney?
Well, first, thank you for having me, Kathi. This has been really fun to share what the League of Women Voters is doing. And I am just so excited about Vote411. I think it's going to be a really powerful tool for North Dakota voters. And I hope people will go and check it out. And and check out our candidate forms too. Those are great ways to learn about the local candidates. There's going to be some really fun races all across the state. So keep on top of those.
That's great information. So it's vote411.org, correct?
That's correct.
Okay, thank you so much for joining us today, Whitney. And I'll see everybody next month for our next AARP on Tap, and no doubt voting is going to be among the topics discussed. Thank you. Bye.